talk about, inshallah, today, complete with problem solving and how to think, especially with condition. And we will talk about programming and application. Okay, so now, inshallah, we will start with that. For considering cases and user input validation, first of all, we want to make sure that data determine whether it is acceptable or not. So if we have a lot of cases and we want to enter some data, or the user want to enter data from the keyboard, he must check that the data are acceptable or it is within the range, because bad output will cause bad input will cause a bad output. Okay. Also, we have to do the following test. First of all, the range. The entered value will be valid within predefined range value. So, for example, if I'm going to enter value for a grade, for example, we have to check that the value is acceptable and it is between 0 and 100, for example. If we want to enter a value for an age, we want to make sure that the value is not in minus. And the same for the salary and so on. So first of all, you have to make sure that the value are within the range, and also we want to make sure that the value are making sense. Okay. So certain value are accepted and other are not. For example, yes or no question, you can accept only yes or no in any upper or lower letter cases, such as yes or no or whatever. So some of the value that we have entered might have different cases. So make sure to accept this value. For example, if I am going to enter yes or no, I have to check yes for something and no. Yes would be correct if I, for example, entered yes in capital letter or small letter, or if the y is capital or y is small. So if you want your program to be a good application or a good program, please make sure to cover all of these possibilities. Third of all, we have to check the valid menu choice. A predefined menu item, either numbered or letters, such as in the ATM machine menu. Okay, so make sure that you have, before you start your program, that you have covered all the options, and all the options are valid. Okay, and please avoid any input that causes runtime error, such as dividing by 0, such as entering a character inside an integer, entering a string, for example. What would happen if I have entered a string inside an integer value? In that case, an error would happen. Or what would happen if I have entered string inside a date field? What would happen? So I want to make sure that no runtime error, will happen to me. Guys, mute your mic, please. Okay, mute your mics. So we have here these 4 things that we need to consider when we try to analyze our input. The range, the value should make sense. We have to cover all the cases and think about all the possibilities. Also, and the last point is very important, to make sure that we will not enter any value that cause a runtime error. For example, entering a string inside a number. The system will be crashed. Or entering a string inside a dead field. What would happen in that case? So we want to make sure that our value are valid. Okay. Now I will go to slide number 5. I am now in slide number 5. Here we are mentioning one example about input value. For example, the menu-driven program execution controlled by a user selection from a list of action. Menu list of choices on screen. Menu can be implemented, of course, by using if, else, or if statement. Anyone can give me an example about the menu? About menu-driven program? Anyone can give me an example about the menu-driven programs? Are you with me, guys?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, one example about the menu program. Windows is a menu-driven program. Windows, does it contain menu? Word, Office, what do you think? All of them are menu-driven program because they contain menu. Okay, for example, file menu, home, insert, whatever. All these menu are, all of these files are menu-driven application. And of course, programming such an application means that we have to write an if statement to check, for example, our choice. What would happen if I used, for example, file new or file open? Or what would happen, or file save? Or what would happen if I entered Control N or Control O or Control S and so on? So it would be, of course, we will use if statement or switch case to check all the options. And as we mentioned, the value are valid and so on. For example, clicking on file new or control N are the same. Okay, will cause or will make the same action. File new or control N. So you need to write an if statement for this. The same for open control O. And the same for save control S and so on. So these are one example of using if else inside the menu. So we can solve this problem either by using if statement, switch statement, whatever. The voice is Abdullah is. I think there is no problem. Please check your PC, okay? Because I am not muted, and I think the voice is. Abdulaziz said that the voice is clear, and Abdullah said no voice. Now I think the voice is clear. Abdullah, check your mic, please. Okay, thank you. Now we will go here. There is one we will go over. Can you read the code? Now I am in slide number 7 and tell us what we are validating here. Validating here. As you can see here, please take a look at this code for 1 minute, and I want to ask you some of question here. Okay, this is not the whole program. It is just a piece of a program. It's not the whole. There are some lines of code are missing. So I'm going to ask you some questions about essential. Take a look at the code. I am now in slide number 7. Anyone can tell me what does this program do, or what is the purpose of this application or this program or this code? Okay. Anyone? Yalla, quickly guys, take a look at this. Then the other question, what do we mean by a score? What is this? Based on what we have learned before. What do you think? What do we mean by A underscore score or B underscore score? What are these? C underscore score, D underscore score. What are these guys? These are constant, okay? These are constant. So we are trying here to compare the score that we have entered, okay, with the constant here. These constant do not appear because it is, as we said, a piece of code. Okay, now we will check here if our score is greater or equal than 90. Then I will print A. If it is greater or equal than B, I will print B. If it is greater or equal C score, yes, here is 70. For A is 90, B is 80, C is 70, and for D it is 60. So we are trying to compare the number, and based on with this constant and based on the value, we will print the grade on the screen. Otherwise, as you can see, there is an else here. The last else, this last else here is following the outer if, this outer if here. Don't forget that. We will explain that later. But I think most of you know about this now. We are checking here the grade if it is within the range. Okay. So I will check if it's greater than 9 and it's greater than or it's greater than 90 or 80 or 70 or 60. Otherwise, I will print failed. But now, as you can see, these are what we call here are the inner F, okay? The inner F here. But the outer F is this one. In this one, we have mentioned before, we have to check the range that it is between the min score and the max score. We mean by min score is 0 and the max score is a constant equal to 100. So first of all, we are checking the range. After that, we are checking the value. and we write our if statement, and we want to make sure that if not of these, if the grade is not between or one of these options, we will write failed or print on the screen failed. And this else is also following the outer if here, okay? And based on that, we will decide, okay? We will decide. So in that case, if the value within the range, I will execute this if statement, or I will go try to check the value here. Otherwise, I will print on the screen that the score is invalid. For example, if I have entered a negative number or whatever, I will write here the score is invalid. Okay. So what do you think? Can we add another validation here for the test score or not? Or these validation are enough? What do you think, guys? Can we add another if statement or another validation here? Can you hear me, guys, now? I think you can hear me, right? You can chat if you don't. Okay, now, can we add here another validation here? Can add here and enhance our program to check if the value is numeric value or not. So we can do maybe another if statement here at the top to check if these values are numeric or not. Okay, are numeric or not. You can do that. Here we are checking the range. Here we are checking the value, but also we can add another if statement to check the type of the value, if it is a string or not, or it is a digit, a numeric or not. So we can do that to enhance our program. So this is just an introduction. I spent a lot of time on this slide in order to make it easier for you to understand the whole lecture. Our whole lecture is about the else if statement, and we have talked about this a lot in the lab. And we will talk about also switch statement for the switch statement, inshallah, in the last of, at the end of our lecture. Now here we will continue with string. Now we can use to read string CN, okay? But if we have entered spaces, the spaces will be ignored and the string will be break. String to use a getLine method. Don't forget this. Actually, this will be heavily used with lines or with files also. So getLine is a function that allows you to read the whole line. So in order to understand, I will go to the next slide here. As you can see here, I am now in slide 11. A string name and a string city, and I also include the string library at the top. Look at the top, please. I have also defined two strings, name and city. Now I will use getLine to read the whole string, okay? getLine to read the whole string. So now I am reading the name here. I am reading the value from the keyboard, writing the CN, and the value will be saved inside the name variable here. Okay. So what do I mean by this statement? This is a function that used to read string. Here, in the first parameter, I am let's assume that I am entering the way that I am, or the place that I am going to read the string from. So I am going to read the string from the keyboard, so I have added here cn, okay? And where am I going to save or assign this string? So it will be assigned inside the name here. Okay, and the same for the city. So this is the first parameter here. In the get line, we call the parameter. Okay, the first parameter we specified from where I am going to read the string. I am going to read the string from the keyboard. So I wrote here cn. And for the second parameter, which is city or name, I specify where I am going to save the value. So as you can see here, I have read the value. The value will be automatically saved inside name and city, and then I have printed them here. As you can see here in the output, I have entered them some spaces, and the value are printed as is. So we prefer to read string or read character to use get line for string, and for character we will use the word get. Okay, so get line, it is important method to read a string, but you need to include, as we mentioned before, include the string library here in order to use this method here. Okay, so you are reading the strings, and you are printing the strings with no problem, and the spaces will not be ignored or skipped, or and the whole string will be read directly and will not be truncated. Okay. Now also to read character, as we mentioned in our previous lecture, sometimes you may face a problem with spaces. Okay, you might face a problem with the spaces, so please make sure that you are using the cn.get.ch. We mean by this, you are going, using the method get, you are going to read the character from the keyboard and save it inside this variable. So as you can see here, we have defined a variable ch, and also we asked, or instead of writing it like this way, okay, we will use cn.get character. In that case, the character that you have entered will be saved inside the character variable here. Okay. And if you want to go to next character, you can see cn.get.ch. So imagine that get is reading character by character. It is just like, so if you have used this method for the first character, and then you write the line again, the cursor will move to other character and the value, and you will read the next character. And for the third time, also you are going to read the third character, and so on. So these method, get line and get character, are used a lot inside the file. You will see that. But for now, if you are going to use string and character, reading the values. Okay. So also we have another method called ignore. cn.ignore. That means you will ignore the current character. You are telling the computer or the compiler that I will ignore reading the next character. Don't read the next character. This cn.ignore might be used for one character, as you can see here. Next character, skip it. Or we can use it to skip many number of character by writing the number of character here. So I am going to, for example, to skip 10 characters, so I can write cn.ignore 10. Okay. So in that case, if I use cn.get, I will read the first character. Then if I have tell him cn.ignore 10, I will skip 10 character. So if I have used cn.get again, I will start reading from character number 11. Okay. So this is heavily used inside the file. You cannot imagine this now, but these methods are heavily used when you are trying to read some lines or some character from the file. Okay, now for the control, I am now in slide number 14, and I believe we have talked about this inside the lab and other lecture. So we will just quickly go over the if statement. There are one-way selection, if statement, if only, and we have, as all of you know, we have if else. It is the two-way statements, two-way statement. Now, as also I mentioned here, you have to include them by begin and end or by braces to make sure that these statements are following the if condition or the else condition. And myself, I prefer either to, if you have, as we mentioned before, either if you have one statement or many statements, please include them between begin and end, okay? Braces. And we also have talked about comparison operator and logical operator, and for example, and or not equal, greater than, equal than. And also we have mentioned that inside the if statement, please make sure to use double equal for comparing, not one equal, okay? Because using only single or one equal one symbol or whatever, it will cause a problem and it will return always true, and the compiler will not discover that. And we have mentioned also do not add semicolon at the end of control statement. In that case, this control statement will be useless. Okay, ما لها قيمة يعني. Now here if else, all of you know this. This is the if statement with the expression, and the else statement too. Okay. Here one example, as you can see. In this application, I am checking if the number is odd or even. Okay, if the number is odd or even. Now, if the number mod 2 equal 0, that means I am going to write even. Else, otherwise, the number will be odd. As all of you know, the even number, if we divided the even number by 2, the remainder will be 0. And otherwise the remainder will not be 0, so it is an odd number. This is an example of the output of this program. So a mode will be used a lot. You will see that while you are writing programs or develop application, you will see that you will use the mode operator a lot. to solve some logical problem. Okay. So this is if and else. I think this is clear also for all of you because you have already applied this in the lab. Now I will go here how we are representing the if-else statement. If-else, if it is true, we will do indicate this that the number is uneven or print on the screen that the number is uneven in the flowchart. If this is false, I will go to this side. So this is how we are representing the if-else or the two-way selection statement, if-else statement. And we will go, inshallah, during next slide, and we will see how we will draw the flowchart if we have nested if more than if statement or more than condition. If we are using nested if, more than if, outer if, and inner if. I mean by nested if, outer and inner if. And what we will do if we are using if, else if, and so on. Let's go to the next slide. I am now in slide number 18. Okay. Take a look at this code, and anyone can tell me what does this programming do, or shall I pick a name? Look, take a look at these slides and codes, and please try to understand the code and tell me what we have done here and why we have what is the purpose, and we want to know what is the purpose of using the if statement here. Yalla guys. Can I pick a name? Oh, well, I didn't hear Rawi a long time ago. Rawi. Hello, Rawi. Are you with me? Okay. Anyone can tell me what does this piece of code, or what is the purpose of writing this piece of code?
Yes, Victor.
Yes.
Can I answer?
Muad or yes, Muad, go ahead. I didn't
I
see.
think,
yes.
Yeah, I think this program is to division two number. It's make you to put the first number and the second number, and make a operation division about it.
Yes.
And I don't know if there is باقي قسمة ولا.
Yeah, the division, yeah, or the reminder, the
reminder.
The
I think there is a reminder here.
No, the divisor, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
The divisor should not be what? Zero, right?
I don't know.
Now here, if num2 equals 0, as you can see here, this is the if statement. Thank you, Maad. Okay. So now we are dividing two numbers and make sure that number 2 is not 0, because number 2, if number 2 is 0, this will cause a runtime error. So here we are checking if number equals 0, then we are going to do something here. We will write, for example, division by 0 is not possible. please run the program again and enter. Because if you have entered, if number 1, num 2 is 0, in that case, this will cause a problem here. So we are handling the errors here using the if statement. We prevent the user from entering 0. If he has entered 0, I will not do my division operation. I will go to the else statement and do the division only if number 2 is not 0. As you can see here, it is in the else statement here. So this is kind of validation or protecting my program from being crashed, okay? Or from causing to prevent my program from dividing the number by 0, because as all of you know that division by 0 will cause a runtime error. So this is a kind of validation. Thank you, Muad. I hope you participate with me. Now here, I am now in slide number 20. I will check a numeric range with logical operator. I will go to slide 21 now. So here, it is just like the first example that we have talked about in this lecture. Here I am trying to compare the range of value, as you can see here. Use it like this. If grade greater or equal than 0 and grade is less or equal 100, this means if this value is fall between or falling or false between 0 and 100, or in other words, we are checking if this value is between 0 and 100. By the way, in some programming language, you can, like VB, Visual Basic, you can use the word between. But in C++, this is not available or applicable in C++. Now here also I can test to see if the value falls outside of range. Another way, if the grade is less than 0 or grade greater or equal than 100, so I will write also invalid grade here. But here I will write valid grade, as you can see here. So if you are going, I think you have studied this in logic, if you are going to use and here you are going to use or, you have to reverse the condition, text short, okay? So here, as you can see, and here we are using or. Now, and we have used greater or equal, now here is converted to less than, to less, okay? يعني المكمل إلها المعاكس تماما. And also here we have used grade less or equal 100, and here we have reserved this to make it greater than. So as you can see here, we have change and to or, and also we have change the condition also, as you can see here, okay? But please make sure not to use this. That very important. Some of you think this is not understood and by C++ and will not. It will not work with you. Okay, it will not work with you. Don't use it like this, please. Now I will go to slide and I believe that we have explained the and or inside the lab, and we have talked about and. As you can see here, and will work. We have two conditions here. So this if statement will work if the employee, if employed is equal, yes, and recent grade is also equal, yes, Y capital. So I will print this. You qualify for the special interest rate, okay? Else I will write on the screen, or I will print these statements. So what is important in this slide, that using and mean that we have to check that will be true only if the two parts or of the condition are true. And also if we have three parts or four parts and there is and between them, we want to make sure that all of these parts are true. Okay, so this is for the and. So what we are checking here, if this is an employee and he has some grade, recent grad, so based on that we are printing on the screen value. Now for the OR, guys, I will go to the OR statement here. As we have mentioned before, here we are using OR. So if one part of the condition is true, then the condition, all the condition is, or the whole condition is true. So if the income is less or equal min income, or years are greater than, I will repeat again. If income is greater or equal min income, or years greater than min years, so if one of the condition is true, the if will be executed. Otherwise, I will go to else statement. And I will also remind you that now for else here, I have couple or many statements to execute, so I have included them by braces, begin and end. And the same for C out here, for the if statement, I have only one statement here. So this is why I did not include it by braces, but myself, I will repeat again, I prefer to include if there is one statement or many statement, I prefer to always include them by braces to make my code readable and understood. And as you know, I might enhance my program and I might add in the future other statements followed to if or following if. So I want to make sure that I will not miss any braces. So I prefer always, if I have one or many statements, to add begin and end or braces. This is the or and this is the and. Okay, and you can see here we have used the not operator also. Okay. Now my question is in this statement, I hope you will answer me. What would happen here when we will execute not here? Are we going to execute it after finishing or comparing the income with the min score and comparing the years, or before? So what is here the not operator, when it is going to be executed, guys? Can anyone tell me? Look at the parentheses here or rounded brackets here. Look at them and please decide. First of all, I will say the order and listen carefully to me. Am I going to run or the not operator, is it going to take an effect or to change the statement after checking the first condition or the second condition, or after checking both conditions? Can anyone tell me? So now the not operator, is it going to work or reverse the condition? when I check the first part or the second part or after checking both parts? Anyone can tell me when and why? This is important, guys, not for this course, for all the courses in computer science. Yes, Abdulaziz. I don't know, Abdulaziz. Yes, let's go ahead.
We'll check both parts because it's out of the parentheses.
Yes, that's great. Thank you, Abdulaziz. Yes, it is. This not operator will be or will be executed or affect our condition or take a place after executing both condition because it is out of the parentheses. So please make sure to be careful when you write your condition, okay? Some query are related to payments and money and whatever, so make sure that your condition are correct, written in a correct way, and be careful with these parentheses, and make sure they are correct. Okay. Okay. Now, as you can see here, not has the highest precedence followed by and then or. That we mean by this, yes, this is true. But if we will apply this from left to right, okay. But first of all, we will check the not. After that, we will check and after that, we will check or. We mean by this if we don't have parentheses, okay. Let's suppose that we have these three conditions and we don't have parentheses, okay. We did not specify who will be executed first. It is just like arithmetic operation. We will start with the not, and then we will start then with the and in the last we will execute the or operator. So if you want to change the precedence of these things, you will use parentheses, okay? If you want to change the precedence of this operator, please write or use parentheses to determine which function or which part to be executed first, okay? So this is also important for you, for all of you, okay? This one and this one. Now I will go to nested if, and we have also talked about this in the lab here. Now, if you can see here, determine if the user loan qualification. Now I have check if it is employed, first of all. And as you can see here, it is outer if, we call it the outer if. And this else is following the outer if here. And these if condition are following these if inner if statement are following this condition. Now, what we are doing here, and you can see also the flow chart here, I will check if this one is employed, okay, and based on that, I will check the recent grad. If it is Y, then I will do something. If is it false, I will do another thing. And here we have the outer if, as you can see here. If it's true, I will check. And if it is false, I will do another thing. So this part here, I don't know if I will try to just draw something for you. This part here for the F, okay, the outer F. And this part here for the else. Let's call it outer else. And this part here for the inner F, as you can see here, the inner F and else. So I will try to divide it to three parts here. Okay. But now my question is, why I did not use, what would happen if I used if recent grad and employed equal y? What would happen here? And instead of writing listed if here, I will add this condition with this one inside this if and adding and here. What do you think? Can I do that? Guys, يلا شباب.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, if I have added employed here, this condition, let's suppose that I want to add it here, this one. I want to add it here with the if statement here, and add the and operator here, okay? Condition. So I will make many conditions inside, or I will add a lot of condition. Yeah, two conditions inside the inner if here, and remove the if, the outer if. What do you think? What would happen here? Is it going to return the same result?
No, of course not.
Why?
Because you eliminated the outer if statement, and it won't work as before. That's what I mean.
Yes, okay, but now if I have added this condition by and here, yani move this condition and write and, this condition will not be executed only if employed is yes, right?
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah. So, somehow I can read it, but I will clarify what you mean by your answer. I figure out what you mean. Your colleague mean by this. Now, adding here employed equal yes and employed equal yes will make the same effect. It's because I'm going to check this condition. It's just like outer if, but why I have to do that? Why I need to compare two conditions while I can use outer if here. So it's better for me and better to make it readable for the code, to make it readable to use outer if, to make it perform quicker or my code perform faster. I need to check to write outer if. So instead of adding two conditions here and writing and then my program will check if and this one, and I will add and another and add this condition here after separating them by and. In that case, I will add extra step for my computer. خلاص, I will check it outer there. If it is true, I will go to check this one. So in that case, I will make my code readable. I will make my code perform faster. Also adding and might cause other extra possibilities here. I might need to add if else. So I have shortcut that. Okay, اختصرت هذا وضفت outer if. So it's better for readability and to make my code perform faster to use nested if, outer if inside inner if. This is why we have used here nested or outer and inner if. Okay. You can use here and you can use here and here. It's okay, but it would be better to write it at the top here. This is the outer condition or the outer if. And I hope this is clear now. I will go to, I will go to slide. I am now in slide number 28. Now we are going to talk about the else is associated with the most recent if that has not been paired with an else. I will go to the example to make sure that you have to clarify this statement or this point. Now look at these two examples here. As you can see here, I have I, J, and K. Now I am comparing I. If I greater than J, I will do something here. Okay. Now, as you can see here, this else is following this if. This else here is following this if, because I didn't add any braces here. So the whole if here will not be executed. هذه الإف هنا شايفينها will not be executed if else only if this condition is true. Okay, because I did not add any braces here or any begin and end or any blocks, so that means this is a one statement between the red line and following the outer if. But let's take a look at this code. As you can see here, we have added begin and end, or we have included the if here between the blocks. So now this if will be executed, this statement here, I will add another line maybe. Okay, here. Now the else statement here will follow the outer if. Now this else here will be under the red line will be following the outer if here. But now this if statement, if I greater than k, will not be executed. Will be executed only if I greater than j. So if this condition is true, I will execute this part only. Now this else will be executed if this else is following the if statement here. So here nothing is printed, as you can see out, because now I is not greater than j, so nothing will be executed. Nothing will be printed out here. But here, if I greater than j, no, I is 3 and j, as you can see here, is 4. So I will go to else statement, and the statement will be printed as b. So be careful with using braces to make sure that your logic is correct and you don't have any logical error in writing your code. So now I will go to slide 30. Also, this is the same here. This is for the same idea here. I add here begin and end, and here we have begin and end. So this else statement now is related to this if. Okay. But here, this else statement is related to the inner if here. Okay, this else statement, I will repeat again, is related to the inner if here, to the inner if. But this else statement is related to the outer if here. So please try to write a code and to figure out, to make it easier to you to understand, you need to run and compile codes. Okay? So this example is, let's say, we're talking about the same idea of the, or for the previous slide. And we have also if else if. We have talked about this a lot inside our lab, inside the lab. We have expression and else if, and at the final I will write else here. So now here, as you can see, how did I draw the flowchart? Maybe some of the students asked me, I don't know in this group or in the other group. So I told him, try it yourself or later. But as you can see here, how we have used the condition and the diamond here. This is the outer if. This is the first if statement for expression number 1. If no, I will go to expression number 2. If yes, I will do something. Otherwise, I will go to expression number 3 until I finish here. Okay? As you can see here, how do I represent my nested if? My nested if here. Yeah. Now I will go to this slide. Okay. As you can see here, this is trailing else, and we have this. This is the else. Okay. So if, else if, else if, else if, and we have else here if none of the option is or none of the condition comes true, we will go to the last else here. So this is what we call here trailing else. Sorry, what was this? Sorry. I'm sorry. Something went wrong. Okay, and this is the else here. Okay, this is also, we have talked about the grade example before. So I will skip this slide because it is easy. And this is the else statement. Don't forget this. Okay, don't forget this. Now I will try to enter the grade for these 3. The grades, and I will go over this condition. If none of them is true, I will go to the else statement. Okay. Right. Now my question is here: what would happen if I have entered 102 in this example? What would happen? Hi guys. If I have entered here 102. يلا جايز واحد يجاوبني هنا. إذا أنا دخلت العلامة 102 102 what would happen here? What is the output? يلا think about this and I need someone.
يطلع F.
يطلع F. لا مش F عبد العزيز. فكر think about this. إذا كانت العلامة 102 شو بيطلع؟ خلينا نمشي sequential. إيه صح؟ سلطان جاوب، بلال جاوب إيه. Because I'm going to enter the grade here 102. And as you know, the program will be executed sequentially. So in that case, the grade is 100. Now we will check. I am going in sequential. صح؟ بالتتابع. It's not a parallel programming, it's a sequential programming. Now I will check the grade here. If the grade is greater or equal than 90, I will print 102. So now the grade is 102, so this condition is true. Is the grade is the greater than 102? Yes, I will print here A. So I need to check the range as we have explained in our first program here, should be here an outer if to check if the grade is greater or equal 0 and less than or equal 100. I will go inside this if statement. And I will write here for the outer if that I will add else invalid value. يعني if you have entered a number between 0 and 100, I will go inside this and check. Otherwise, I will write invalid value. This is also for the grades. Now, I might, as I have mentioned in the first lecture, maybe in the slide number 4 or 7, I don't remember. In our first example, you need to check the range, then you need to check the grade, and you might need to check if these grades are numeric value or not. So you might need if, first of all, outer if to check if these values are numeric or not. Then you might need to add another if to check the range, and also you need to include this if statement. So this is, as I mentioned in my first maybe lecture, this is what we call development. I will enhance my program based on the cases that or the error or the cases that I have faced. Okay. Now I will go to this slide here. Look at this. Take let's say a look or a deep look at this, and we are telling you here that the following if statement are the same. Okay, there is no difference here. There is no difference between these three ifs. But what do you think? Which is more readable for you? مين المفهوم أكثر and more readable? The first one, or the second one, or the third one? They are equivalent, guys, okay? What do you think? This is what we call now refactoring. I am writing the code this way, or sorry, I have written the code this way, then I have refactor the code in part 2, then I think again and refactor it and make it readable and move it to form number 3 here. Move it to form number 3. So this is what we have done here. We have divided this, or so we have refactor our code. It is just for a number guessing. If guess is greater than number too high, if it is less, else if it is equal number. So I can write it this way. But I think, in my opinion, the best way it is the third one. If the guess is greater than number, what would I do? If it is less, otherwise I will write correct. So this is what we call refactoring the code. Okay. So instead of compiling all of this line and try to execute or go over all of this condition here or here, I have written less lines or a few lines or less lines of code in order, and these lines are doing the same purpose here. يعني نفس الهدف راح يشتغل في نفس الطريقة فيعني try to think if you wrote a code how to refactor your code and write it in a perfect way. I could not see the time on my PC, so please be patient with me. What's the time now, guys? I could not see the time. I am not able to see the clock on my PC. What is the time now? كم الوقت شباب؟ كم الساعة؟ لا. Okay, inshallah. So I'm sorry I did not give you a break. I could not see the time or the clock here, so Let's continue. So, because these ideas are related together, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. Now I will go to next slide here. It's about calculating the taxes. If your salary is less than 15,000 or more than 25, whatever. So we have here three conditions. I think what would happen if I have what is the tax computed according to the following rate tax? If your salary is 15 or less, if your tax is between 15,000 to 25,000 Saudi Riyal, the tax will be 5%. Otherwise, if your salary is greater than 25,000 Saudi Riyal, then the tax will be 10%. So here we will go. I don't care about the equation here or how you calculate it, but I care about the if statement here. As you can see here, now I am checking. I am in slide 36 now. I am checking if the salary is less than 15. The tax will equal 0, no taxes. Otherwise, if it is less than or equal 25, okay, then the tax will be عبارة عن 5% اللي 5% multiply by اللي هو دخلك ناقص 15,000 minus. Otherwise, now if that means if your income is greater than 25,000 riyal, I will do this calculation. Okay. So I am multiplying by 10% here. And finally, I calculate the tax here. Okay. Here I have added the 5% tax. Okay, for the first for my salary when it is between 15 and 25, and also I have added the tax for the second one. So as you can see here, I think it's somehow a well-known example of using the if, else, if, and else statement here. Here, my first if and second else and the else if statement here. Okay, now some of you might ask me, Doctor, I don't know how to write the formula, or what is the formula? If we ask you about this, we will provide you by the formulas. For sure, we will provide you by the formulas. Now, I will go to slide 39, and we have mentioned that please use the blocks. These are important, as you saw in our example, that these blocks could affect the code. These blocks could affect the code. Now, this is the first one. So please block scope. Make sure that to specify what are the statements that you are going to execute within if or else condition using blocks. Don't forget this, okay? Now I will go to slide 39 here. And here is another example of using the number, Cn number. If number greater than 0, I will read another number, I will write and print it out. Otherwise, your first number is less than 0 or negative value. So if your number is greater than 0, this program will allow you to enter the next number, to enter or read the next number. Otherwise, a message will show to the user that you have entered a negative value. So as you can see here, the output, I have entered 2. So the program allow me to enter another number, which is 7. And it told me that your first number was 2. Okay. What do you think, guys, here? If this statement, see out first number, will be executed all the time or on some condition? This one I am talking about, I will try to highlight it or draw a circle around it. This one. This statement, guys, what do you think? Are we going to execute this statement the whole time? All the time, guys? So, what do I mean? When we run the program, are we going, is this statement is going to be run all the time or it depends on some condition? Take a look at the code here. Yalla, I will need an answer. Yes, I wanna check the time, 1 minute. It is 9:33. Some of you told me it is 9:40. No, it is 9:33 now. So please check out your clock, please. Now, what do you think, guys, here? Is this statement is going to be executed all the time? يلا شباب. Abdullah Hashim, Abdullah الشمري بتتنفذ صحيح. Great, Abdullah. Yes, it will be. Walid قال لي صحيح. That's good. That's great. So this statement will be executed all the time. شوفوا هذا الفكرة من هذا البرنامج ما تخربط. Don't be confused. Now I will check this if statement. If this statement is true, I'm going to check this condition. اوكي ما في عندي else، في else هنا no else. So هذه الجملة خلاص راح تتنفذ في كل الأحوال لأنه ما في else. لا تخربط. نعم الوليد جاوب صح، عبد الله الشمري also، والوليد جاوب صح. اوكي. So be careful، يعني اقرأ الكود كويس. إذا في عندي else that means no, not all the time. This statement will not be executed all the time. But because I don't have here else, so this statement will be executed all the time. Now, inshallah, I will go to another conditional statement. Switch statement. Switch statement, guys, is another type of selection statement structure. It is just like if statement. I will we will take a look at it. Now, I inshallah try to summarize what does this statement do by asking clarifying some point and asking some questions. First of all, I went here. Yes. Now, guys, what does the break statement do? what does the break statement do here inside the switch or inside any block in C++? What does it do? Yes, exit the block. يوقف الأمر نعم أو exit the block. بعض الطلاب جاوب عبد الله الشمري يوقف الأمر نعم أو يخرج من البلوك اللي أنت فيه. So if you are using break inside the for, it will exit the for. If you are using inside the while or do while, it will exit the while. If you are using break inside the if statement, you will exit the block that you are in. Okay? If you have used it inside the switch statement here, that means you will exit the switch statement. This is the first question. That's good. Rawi said Ibrahim and the rest of code from execution. Yes, inside the for, it will break, it will exit, yes. And prevent the rest of code from execution inside the block. Yes, that's another way to say that, and it's correct. Thank you, Rawi. So now here we have right here switch statement. Switch consists of the keyword or reserved word switch and expression. Now the expression can be integer value, yes. So I can compare the variable here with integer value. This is the first one. Can the expression be or the variable be character to be compared here? Yes. But I have to include the value between, as you know, single quotes. Okay, single quotes. Okay, can the expression or the variable here be of type string? Yes, I can use string, and I can use with the string, as you know, not single as character. We have, as I mentioned a lot of time before, to use double quotes for the string. Okay. Can we use here inside the cases some condition? Yes, also Boolean. Can I use Boolean variable or some condition? Yes, I can. This is the fourth question. Okay, so I can use many data type, string, I have to include the value between double quotes, character, I can include the value between single quotes, I can use also integer, also number, I can use double, but it's better to round the double to make it integer value. Okay, now, also we have talked about the break. Can we use bool function? Yes or false? Yes, we can use. Can we use inside the case condition? Yes, we can. Okay. Can we include more than one statement inside the case? Yes, we can. But we need to separate them by semicolon. Semicolon here. Okay? We can include more than one statement or many statements inside one case. Okay? The last thing here, not the last, the one thing before the last, default mean else. If nothing happened here inside case 1 or case 2 or case 3, I will go to the default statement. So if this condition is not true and this is not true, no matching between the expression and the value, I will go to the default value and execute the statements here. So you can imagine it as outer if, and an outer if include else statement. Include else statement. Now, maybe the last question here, can I add value or range of value here? Yani I can add مثلا range from 1 to 10, for example. Yes, I can. By adding 1, then I will add 3 dots, then I will add 10. I will repeat again. Can we use range of value inside C++? Yes, we can. We can use, for example, 1, 3 dots to 10. Okay? So to specify the range, I have to specify the first and the last value, and I will add 3 dots between these values. this value. But the last, I think it is the last question. Anyone can tell me why we are using break here? To exit, but why we are exiting? Why we are breaking or exit the block? Okay. Can anyone tell me why? It's better to add a break here. It's better to add a break. We mean by this, the compiler in C++, let's suppose that we have match. The expression is matched with case 1. So the statement will be executed. Okay, inside the case. Now, the compiler, after executing the first case, will try to go over the next case and the other case and the other case. This is how the compiler works in the case statement inside C++. So in order to prevent him from going to other cases, we just add a break for at the end of each case. So if the value is matched here, it does not make sense for me or you to go over the other cases and check them. This is how switch is working. So we add a break for each case to prevent the compiler, okay, or the builder or whatever, to go to the next case. So I am telling him, if this value is true, if the expression is matched here, I will execute these statements, then exit. No need to try to compare or try to match other expression. So it is very important to reduce the number of comparison and for performance. So as I have written to students in first class, reduce the number of comparison. I will write it. And for performance. Okay. Okay. So I believe that I have summarized everything about the switch. Now, as you can see here, an example. Break default switch for character. We can use A capital or A small. Also, we can use multiple cases here for label. Case A capital, case A small. I will print excellent. So I can use here multiple cases in the same block. So I will just repeat again here quickly. I switch case like if else matching expression. This we can add string, integer, float, but we have to round them, or double. We can use bool variable. We can use character. We can use string, but we need to be careful with single and double quotes. We are adding a break to prevent the compiler to try to execute the other condition. If one of the cases is true, I need to exit my block by adding a break. Default value will be executed if none of these cases are true. I will go to the default value. If you can add in the case more one statement, not only one, you can add a lot of statements, not only one statement. And as you can see here in this case, now I am at slide 42. Okay, I will try to execute more than one case A capital, case A small. So here I will print excellent in case the character is A capital, or it means if the character is A capital or A small, sorry, I will execute these statements. Okay, now this is a very known. Yes, just give me other 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes, because we started maybe 9:04 or 9:05, because some of the students were not there. Some of the students told me the time is up. Okay, just give me 5 minutes, okay? 2 minutes, okay? I am here checking the grade. In case it's A, I will print excellent. In case it's B, I will do another thing. And in case it's D or F, I will print another thing. So that means in A, I will do something. Case B, grade is a character here, okay, of type character. So as you can see here, I have compared it with single quotes, and I compare D and or F. This means if the grade is D or F, I will write here or print on the screen, not good, and don't forget the breaks, and see out for the default. That is not a possible grade. If I have entered other than A, B, C, D, F, the result will be printed inside the default. Now, the last thing here, okay, this is one break and so on. For the cases also, switch option and increasing the counter, okay. No difference here, but please add breaks in the case statement, okay. Adding a break. Don't forget to add a break here, okay? Add a break for the switch statement. Now I will go to this one, the last one for conditional here. This is another form or way of writing selection statements. If x less than 0, I will write something like this. Y equal 10, otherwise z equal 20. So just remind me about this next lecture, okay? This is the last lecture here. Here is the condition. If x is less than 0, then if this condition is true, I will execute this statement. Other than that, I will execute this statements. Okay, sorry for this, why? I can add between column here many statements also, and also for the else part. So this is the condition, this is the if part. If the part is true, I will do something here, and I can add many statements. Don't forget that I can add many statements, and this is another, this is what we execute if the condition is false. Here, just remind me to explain this in the coming lecture. It is the last slide, okay? I will explain, remind me about this. The conditional operator, okay? Thank you. You can leave now. I don't know if you have a quiz or another lecture. No problem. I will not make you late at all. Thank you all, and thank you for attending. Goodbye. Okay.